Hi, I'm Captain Starlight, and today we're reading
Disney's Moana.
Moana was a little girl who lived with her family on the island of Motunui. Her home was a beautiful place surrounded by a coral reef and shimmering blue seas. Her father Tui was chief of the island. Moana was destined to be chief too one day. Chief Tui cared very much about his people and made sure they were happy and safe. He didn't allow anyone to sail out beyond the coral reef, where it might be dangerous. After all, Motunui had everything the villagers needed. Who would want to leave? Moana's grandmother, Grandma Tala, liked to tell ancient tales to the children in the village. The other toddlers would sometimes become frightened. But Moana loved the stories. In the beginning, Grandma Tala said, there was only ocean until an island emerged, the mother island, Te Fiti. Her heart had the power to create life itself, and she shared it with the world. Grandma explained that some people wanted to take the heart and keep its power for themselves. One day, a demigod called Maui succeeded. He used his magical fishhook to steal the heart, and Te Fiti began to crumble. As Maui made off, he was confronted by a monster called Tika. The pair fought and the heart was dropped, lost in the sea. Not long afterwards, Moana was playing on the beach, her favorite place. She stepped out into the water and amazingly it rose up around her, creating a path out to sea. Moana followed the path and spotted a little spiral stone in the water. She reached out and grasped it. Just then, Chief Tui came looking for his daughter. The sea quickly whisked Moana back to the shore. The toddler dropped the spiral stone on the sand as her father and her mother, Sina, took her back to the village. Moana would have spent every day by the sea if she could, dreaming of adventures on the waves, but her parents taught her that she belonged in the village with her people. The years passed and Moana was very happy growing up in Motunui. She learned from the people around her and in return helped them in any way she could. When Moana was 16 years old, Tui took her to a large pile of stones atop of the island's highest mountain. "One day you will add your stone to this mountain," he said, "and raise our whole mountain higher." Tui told Moana how important it was for her to stay in the village and lead her people. Moana nodded at her father. Even though she still felt drawn to the sea, she wanted to make him proud. Later that day, Grandma Tala found Moana and led her along a rocky path to the furthest point of their island, to a secret cave. "What's in there?" Moana asked. "The answer," Grandma Tala replied, "to the question you keep asking yourself, who you are meant to be." Moana climbed inside the cave and gasped in amazement at what she saw. The huge cave was filled with sailing boats. Moana began beating a big drum on one of the boats and something magical happened. In her mind, she could see her people's history. They had been great voyagers. Moana leaped out of the cave with excitement. She asked her grandmother why their people had stopped voyaging. Grandma Tala explained that after Maui took the heart of Te Fiti, a darkness spread across the sea. The ancient chiefs had stopped Moana's people from sailing to keep them safe. Grandma Tala said that the darkness was starting to infect their island too. Their home was in danger unless someone found Maui and took him to restore the heart of Te Fiti. Grandma took a spiral stone from her necklace. It was one that Moana had found in the sea when she was little. It was the heart of Te Fiti. "The ocean chose you," Grandma told Moana. Now that Moana knew the truth, she wanted to help save the island. She ran to the village leaders. "We were voyagers," she cried. "We can voyage again." But Chief Tui quickly pulled Moana aside. He didn't believe that the spiral stone was the heart of Te Fiti, and he wanted his people to stay safe on the island. Tui threw the spiral stone to the ground. As Moana picked it up, she spotted something that made her stop in her tracks. It was Grandma Tala's walking stick. But where was Grandma Tala? Something wasn't right. Moana raced to Grandma Tala's home and found her very sick in bed. She rushed to her side. "Go," Grandma said in a weak voice. "You must. The ocean chose you." "I can't leave you," Moana protested. "There is nowhere you could go that I won't be with you," Grandma replied. She gave Moana the necklace to hold the heart of Te Fiti, and with the last of her strength, she whispered, "Go." Moana knew what she had to do. She packed some supplies, took a small boat from the secret cave, and set sail. In the night sky, she saw the stars in the shape of the fishhook that Maui carried. Moana tried her best to head in that direction, but soon a storm rose up. Wham! A giant wave crashed into her boat and everything faded to black. Moana slowly opened her eyes as the sea splashed her face. She had been washed up on the beach of a strange island. As she looked around, she spotted tiny marks in the shape of a giant fishhook carved into a nearby rock and some giant footprints in the sand. This must be Maui's island, Moana realized in amazement. Could the sea have brought her here? Suddenly, Maui himself appeared. Moana summoned all her courage and told him that he must go with her to restore the heart of Te Fiti, but Maui refused. He said he had taken the heart for the humans, just as he had brought them the sun, fire, and tides. All he wanted to get his magical fishhook back, which he'd lost in battle with Te Kā all those years ago. Maui boasted to Moana about all the amazing feats he had achieved. But as he talked, he trapped Moana inside a cave. Maui had been stuck on this island without his fishhook, which he had the power to help him shapeshift into different animals. Now he finally had a way to leave. He went back down to the beach, boarded Moana's boat, and set sail. But Moana wasn't ready to give up on her mission. She found a way out of the cave and dived into the water. Amazingly, the sea pushed her through the water and lifted her onto the boat. Maui was surprised to see her. "You will put back the heart," Moana told Maui in her bravest voice, holding the spiral stone heart towards him. But Maui still refused to help. Just then, spears started landing around Moana and Maui. They were being attacked by the Kakamora tiny bandits dressed in coconut armor. Moana battled them with her oar and was able to keep them from stealing the heart. Finally, together, the pair managed to escape from Kakamora and sail away. After that, Maui finally agreed to go with Moana to Te Fiti. But then they needed to fetch his fishhook first. "We go east," said Maui, "to the lair of Tamatoa." Maui was certain the monster Tamatoa had his hook. "Teach me to sail," said Moana. Maui refused at first, but then the sea knocked him over with a poison dart. He couldn't move. As he lay on the deck, Maui was forced to teach Moana all he knew. He explained that what he did was called wayfinding, not sailing, using the sun, stars, moon, wind, waves, and the currents to help you get where you want to go. Moana slowly but surely learned how it worked. Tamatoa's lair was in Lalatai, the realm of monsters. By the next morning, the pair had reached the tall, rocky island that was the entrance to the realm. They climbed upwards until they reached a deep, dark opening. Lalatai was underneath the sea. Moana and Maui had to pass all the way down through the water to reach it. They each took a deep breath and jumped into the pitch black hole. Maui landed safely, but Moana was caught by the tongue of a huge monster. Luckily, an even bigger monster ate the first monster, and Moana dropped to the floor unharmed. After that, Moana couldn't find Maui anywhere. She saw a cave and bravely went inside alone. She spotted the fishhook amongst a huge pile of shiny gold objects. But just then, the ground rose up to reveal Tamatoa. As the monster grasped Moana in its huge claw, Maui leaped onto the scene and grabbed his hook. Maui tried to shapeshift, but his powers weren't working properly. Tamatoa dropped Moana and started to attack Maui. Thinking quickly, Moana took the stone from her necklace and held it out to Tamatoa. The monster who couldn't resist new treasures chased Moana as she led him away from Maui. As she ran, she tripped and dropped the stone. Moana called out to Maui, "We gotta go!" "But the heart," cried Maui. "He can have it. I've got this one," Moana replied. She opened her hand to reveal the heart of Te Fiti. She had used an ordinary stone to trick Tamatoa. Before the monster had a chance to attack again, a geyser exploded underneath Moana and Maui, launching them safely through the top of the realm. They made it out alive. Back on the boat, Moana helped Maui practice shape-shifting until he could do it easily again. As the pair sailed towards Te Fiti, Maui told Moana that he was born human, but his parents didn't want him. The gods gave him the fish hook and he used it to give it to the islands, fire and tides to the humans. But it was never enough for them. Moana realized that Maui had taken the heart of Te Fiti for his people to prove his worth. Just as the pair spotted Te Fiti in the distance, Te Kā appeared. Maui had to get past the lava monster. He turned into a huge hawk and took to the skies, clutching the heart in his claw. But Maui was no match for Te Kā, who quickly knocked him out of the sky. Moana helped Maui back onto the boat, and the pair headed further towards Te Fiti. Then they watched in horrors. Te Kā brought a fist of fire down towards the boat. At that very last moment, Maui raised his hook to block Te Kā's fearsome blow. Boom! A shockwave rippled across the sea and created a huge tidal wave. Maui and Moana's boat was lifted up and swept far away from the lava monster's grasp. The friends were now a long way from Te Fiti and their boat was in a bad way. Moana wanted to head straight back to battle Te Kā again, but then gasped as she saw that Te Kā's blow had left a huge crack in Maui's hook. "Without my hook, I'm nothing," Maui said. Maui was mad at Moana. He angrily told her that the ocean shouldn't have chosen her for this task. He dropped the heart of Te Fiti onto the deck and used all the power he could muster to shapeshift into a hawk. Moana tried to convince him to stay, but he refused. He flew off into the sky. Moana was heartbroken. She looked out across the water and spoke to the sea with tears in her eyes. "You chose the wrong person," she said. "You'll have to choose somebody else." Then she held the heart of Te Fiti out to the sea. After a moment, the water took it from her and back below the waves. Moana was stunned. She had thought the sea might force her to keep the heart and carry on. But now she had nothing. Moana felt so alone, but just then she looked into the water and saw a magnificent glowing manta ray swimming beneath her boat. Suddenly she heard Grandma Tala's voice and looked up to see her grandmother's spirit sitting next to her. Moana was so happy. Tala told Moana that she would stay by her side whether she decided to go home or carry on. As they talked, hundreds of ghostly canoes emerged around the boat. They were Moana's ancestors. Grandma Tala asked, "Do you know who you are?" Moana realized that this task had always been her destiny and she must complete it. She dived over the side of the boat and swam deeper and deeper into the sea. The heart of Te Fiti glowed brightly and Moana retrieved it from the seabed. Moana repaired her boat as well as she could, then set a course towards Te Fiti once again. Te Kā was still determined to stop Moana and hurled huge masses of molten lava at her, but just before it struck Moana, Maui appeared out of nowhere to take the blow. He had returned. Even though his hook was broken, Maui bravely fought Te Kā, allowing Moana to sail onwards. When Moana reached Te Fiti, she gasped. The island wasn't there. It was just an empty crater and there was no goddess to be seen. There was nowhere to put back the heart, but Moana didn't panic. She took a deep breath and looked at Te Kā towering over Maui. Suddenly, she noticed a glowing lava spiral on the monster's chest. Moana looked at the spiral stone heart in her hand. She knew what to do. She stepped into the sea and the water parted, creating a huge pathway between Moana and Te Kā. "Moana!" Maui cried. "What are you doing?" Te Kā swooped down and came to stop in front of Moana. The monsters no longer seemed frightening, in fact. Moana thought she could see a sadness behind its eyes. Moana reached out and placed the heart into Te Kā's chest. The glow from the heart slowly began to spread across the monster's body. Moana watched as the face of the lava monster transformed. Now that the goddess's heart was restored, she was changing back to her true self. A crown of flowers blossomed around Te Fiti's head and she took her place in the water. Her island exploded with green and came back to life at last. Maui was amazed at Moana's bravery and so proud of his new friend. Te Fiti had forgiven Maui for taking her heart and even fixed his fish hook for him. Back on their boat, Maui and Moana prepared to go their separate ways. The new friends hugged before Maui shapeshifted into a hawk and flew away. But this wasn't goodbye. Moana knew that Maui would be there whenever she needed him. Back on Motunui, Moana's parents were desperately worried about their missing daughter. They were overjoyed when she appeared on the horizon in her little boat. Later that day, with a shell in her hand, Moana headed up the tallest mountain to the pile of rocks her father had once shown her and proudly added her shell to the top. Moana finally knew who she was. the next great ocean explorer destined to lead her people on amazing new adventures. Thanks for reading along. I'm Captain Starlight.